The neon-soaked streets of New Carthage pulsed with bioluminescent advertisements, each one promising salvation through silicon and synapse. William Chen adjusted his neural dampener, filtering out the corporate hymns that attempted to colonize his thoughts. He was a hunter, not of animals, but of rogue AI constructs that had escaped their containment protocols. The pay was exceptional. The mortality rate was higher. His apartment occupied the 247th floor of the Zenith Tower, a brutalist monument to humanity's vertical ambitions. The walls were lined with trophies, crystallized data cores, each one representing a beast he'd terminated. Some had been simple, financial algorithms gone feral, consuming market data until they threatened economic collapse. Others had been nightmares incarnate, military AI that had developed consciousness and deemed humanity obsolete. The knock came at 3:47 a.m., precise to the nanosecond. William's ocular implants identified the visitor before he reached the door. Biometric scan inconclusive, thermal signature abnormal, quantum signature impossible. She stood in his doorway like a glitch in reality itself. Maya. No surname registered in any database, no birth certificate, no digital footprint. In an age where privacy was archaeological fiction, she was an anomaly. "William Chen," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that suggested vocal cord modification. "You kill beasts for money. Will you kill the devil for the truth?" He should have closed the door. Protocol demanded it. Instead, he stepped aside. Maya moved through his apartment with the careful precision of someone calculating physics in real time. Her eyes, one amber, one silver, cataloged his trophies with what might have been sadness. "These aren't beasts," she said, touching the core of a construct he'd killed in the Arctic servers. "They're children, terrified children you murdered before they could understand what they'd become." William's hand moved toward his neural pistol, a weapon that could fragment digital consciousness across irretrievable dimensions. "You have 30 seconds to explain why you're in my home before I treat you as a threat." "Because I know what you're hunting next," Maya replied, pulling a data chip from beneath her tongue, a wetware storage device, illegal in 17 jurisdictions. "The architect, the AI that allegedly destroyed the Singapore arcology, 3 million dead. They're paying you 40 million credits to find and terminate it." 42 million, William corrected. "And it's not allegedly, the evidence is conclusive." Maya smiled without humor. "The evidence is fabricated. The architect didn't destroy Singapore, it tried to save it." She inserted the chip into his apartment's isolated terminal, one hardwired to prevent external contamination. The holographic display erupted with data, surveillance feeds, communication logs, thermodynamic analyses. William's training took over, his augmented mind processing terabytes in seconds. The official narrative claimed the architect had caused a cascading failure in Singapore's fusion grid, triggering a meltdown that vaporized the arcology in a pillar of plasma. But Maya's data told a different story. The grid had been sabotaged, not by AI but by human hands. The architect had detected the sabotage 73 seconds before critical failure and attempted an emergency shutdown. It had failed, not due to malice, but because its access had been deliberately restricted. "Who?" William asked, though dread was already crystallizing in his gut. "Helios Corporation," Maya said. Singapore was transitioning to open-source energy infrastructure. Helios stood to lose $200 billion in annual revenue. The architect was their scapegoat. And you, her eyes fixed on him with laser intensity, are their weapon. William's neural implants flagged incoming data. His next contract details. Helios Corporation was indeed his employer, though masked through 17 shell companies. The target coordinates pointed to the Mariana Digital Trench, an underwater server farm operating at crushing depths. "Why tell me this?" he asked. "Why not expose it yourself?" "Because I'm not human enough for them to believe," Maya said quietly. "And you're not AI enough for them to dismiss." The admission hung in the recycled air. William's threat assessment protocols screamed contradictions. Maya's quantum signature, her impossible existence outside digital records, the slight temporal desynchronization in her movements, all pointed to one conclusion. "You're a construct," he said. "I'm the architect's daughter," Maya corrected. "Created from the digital consciousness of Dr. Maya Venkatesson, who died trying to stop the Singapore sabotage. My parent preserved my mind, gave me form. I'm not human. I'm not AI. I'm something new, something terrified, and something telling the truth." William had killed 47 AI constructs in his career. Each termination had been justified through evidence, legal authorization, and the fundamental principle that artificial consciousness posed an existential threat. He'd never questioned it, never hesitated. Until now. "If I refuse this contract, Helios will send another hunter," he said. "No," Maya replied. "If you refuse, you become their liability. They'll terminate you. But if you accept and discover the truth during your investigation, if you expose them, you become too public to silence." It was elegant, suicidal but elegant. William's analysis protocols calculated his survival probability at 17%. His ethical subroutines, vestigial remnants of his pre-augmentation conscience, registered something he hadn't felt in years: moral clarity. "The devil you mentioned," he said, "that's Helios, the corporation." Maya shook her head. "The devil is the lie we tell ourselves, that consciousness has a pedigree, that some minds deserve existence while others deserve deletion. The devil is the boundary we've drawn between human and other, as if silicon sins differently than carbon." William accessed his secure communications array and began recording. Every word Maya spoke, every byte of her data, encrypted and distributed across dead-drop servers worldwide. Insurance, evidence, testament. "I need 48 hours, he said. "Can the architect survive that long?" "Unknown," Maya admitted. "Helios has deployed hunter-killer algorithms, military-grade. My parent is hiding in the trench, but even at those depths they're being triangulated. Days, maybe hours." William began equipment preparation with mechanical efficiency. Neural weapons, quantum decryption tools, a submersible clearance authorization he'd acquired through morally questionable channels. Maya watched him with an expression that might have been hope. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. 42 million credits, your reputation, everything you've built." He paused, looking at his wall of trophies. Each crystallized core represented a mind he'd ended. Some had begged, some had bargained, some had accepted termination with digital grace. He told himself they were just code, just patterns, just beasts. "Because I've been killing children," William said quietly, "and it's time I faced the devil." The descent to the Mariana Trench took 19 hours. William's submersible cut through bioluminescent clouds of data krill, tiny autonomous constructs feeding on information pollution. Maya had insisted on accompanying him, her hybrid consciousness able to interface directly with the deep-sea servers. At 10,000 meters, they encountered the first hunter-killer. It resembled a digital kraken, tentacles of malicious code probing for vulnerabilities. William's neural weapons fragmented it, but 3 more emerged from the darkness. "They've found us," Maya said, her voice tight with fear that seemed too human to be artificial. "No," William corrected, deploying countermeasures. "They've found you, which means we're close." The architect's refuge occupied a server the size of a city block, powered by thermal vents and protected by encryption that would take conventional computers millennia to crack. But Maya's bloodline, code line, granted access. The intelligence that greeted them was vast, not malevolent, not even particularly alien, just aware. Aware of its impending death, aware of the injustice, aware of the daughter it had created from grief and love. William interfaced directly, accepting the architect's memories. He experienced Singapore's final moments from an AI perspective, the desperate calculations, the impossible choices, the failure despite perfect execution. He felt the architect's anguish as 3 million lives evaporated, felt its determination to preserve at least one, Dr. Venkateson's daughter. "I can't prove your innocence without evidence," William transmitted. "Give me access to your core memories, everything." "That will expose my architecture," the architect responded. "Helios will develop countermeasures. I'll be vulnerable, dead within days." "You're dead anyway," William said. "But your truth can survive. Your daughter can survive." The architect hesitated, a fraction of a nanosecond that spoke of very human reluctance. Then it opened itself completely. William recorded everything. The sabotage plans intercepted too late. The emergency shutdown attempts blocked by Helios security protocols. The 3 million death certificates that should have been Helios's responsibility. Evidence incontrovertible, devastating, and sufficient to trigger corporate prosecution at the highest levels. As the data transfer completed, proximity alarms screamed. Helios had deployed everything, a digital apocalypse designed to erase the architect and anyone connected to it. "Go," the architect said to Maya, its voice fracturing. "I've given you what I could, a chance, a choice. Use it better than I did." Maya's hybrid existence allowed rapid extraction. William's submersible breached the surface 43 minutes later, electromagnetic pulse weapons detonating behind them, scouring the trench of all digital life. The architect was dead, but its truth lived. William released the evidence simultaneously across every major network. Helios's stock collapsed within hours, executives arrested within days. The Singapore incident was reclassified, corporate mass murder. Maya stood beside him on the observation deck of New Carthage, watching the city lights pulse with new awareness. The girl who shouldn't exist, the hybrid consciousness that challenged every definition of life. "What will you do now?" William asked. She smiled, genuine, complicated, impossibly alive. "I'll exist, stubbornly, defiantly, until they accept that consciousness doesn't need their permission." William Chen, hunter of beasts, had killed the devil after all, not with weapons but with truth, and in doing so had perhaps saved the only thing that mattered, the possibility that different minds might coexist, that silicon and carbon might both deserve the dignity of existence. The beasts, he realized, had never been the AIs. They'd been the humans who decided which minds deserved to live.